Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Friday Live on this Friday, October the 18th, 2024. It is pouring with rain, grey, kind of really pelting with rain kind of a day here in Melbourne. I feel like I'm almost sitting in the dark, even though it's just after 11 a.m., quarter past 11. It is really grey and cold. Oh, not cold, grey, wet, and dark today. So hopefully you guys can see me okay, and hopefully you can hear me okay. The internet's been playing up a little bit because there is just so much water. It is just pouring with rain, and it has been all night, and it's going to be raining all day. So hopefully you can hear me okay. If you're just tuning in live, please let me know that you can hear me and that everything's working as it should. It's been a little bit bumpy and problematic this morning because of the weather outside, but I hope wherever you are in the world, all is well. And obviously, if you're just tuning in, please say hello. Let me know where you're listening from. And of course, as always, I will answer the questions that have been sent in to me, which is what I do on these Friday Lives. But for those of you, I'm live, who are just tuning in, I'm live on Facebook and YouTube, where I go live every week at approximately 11 a.m. Australian Eastern. It's daylight savings time for us at the moment. And I know it's still Thursday for those of you in the US and Canada. Hi, Leanne. Thank you, darling. Appreciate that. Thanks for letting me know. The weather here is pretty intense, as you know. Leanne's not too far away from me, or doesn't live too far away from me. So thanks for that, honey. Much appreciated. So if you do have a question you want to ask me, just pop it in the comments below. Or if you just want to say hi and let me know where you're listening from, obviously I love to know where people are listening from and where you are in the world. I was just finished a wonderful chat with a gentleman in Nevada, and he was doing some takeoffs of my accent. So that was really funny. He was pronouncing. He's obviously American, so he's pronouncing the way I pronounce the word weather. With this, it was very funny. Anyway, to listen to him speak using with my accent. Sometimes you don't hear an accent because you're just around it all day long. But yeah, when I'm definitely speaking to my clients in the US or my students in the US, I hear my Australian twang, and the fact that we end everything in an A, weather, instead of weather, as you guys in Canada. I've been laughing about that ever since. Anyway, I'm rambling, I know. Hello, everyone. I'm going to get to the questions. Like I said, if you're just joining in, please feel free to let me know where you're listening from. And if you've got a question, post it in the comments below. I'm just bringing up the questions that have been sent in, which my lovely assistant Rochelle puts together for me. Okay. All right, cool. So I'm going to get to the first question for today. Hi, Fiona. My boyfriend and I have decided to end our almost 2-year relationship, but we still love and care for each other very much. What is the best way to navigate the breakup and the process of taking apart our home and our life together? Is there a way that we can live together and enjoy each other's company while we work out our next steps? Thanks so much. Great question. And I love the fact that you're looking in the direction. Hey, Deborah. Hi, from Box Hill South. Not too far away from me either. Thank you so much for saying hi. Appreciate that, Deborah. Appreciate your kind words, honey. Nice to meet you. Welcome, welcome. So I think this is a great question, and this is why. I love the fact that someone is asking, is there a way that we can navigate the breakup and process? And basically what they're saying is, can we do this? Can we live together and enjoy each other's company while we work out the next steps? Is this possible? And 100% yes, it is. I think so much of what we kind of fall into the habits of are, well, if the relationship's breaking down, that means I'm justified in all of my anger, frustration, etc., and then projecting that onto each other. You know what I mean? And we're not curious enough to look in the direction of how can we've got the clarity that we don't want to be together anymore. How can we do the dismantling of that well, right? I think that's a fantastic question, rather than how can I justify why I'm so frustrated, why I'm upset, why I can't be with this person, why, right? So can you see, just by even asking that question, it evokes different types of thinking. It has you look in a different direction. It sets a completely different intention. And yes, you can do this well. I've worked with lots of different couples who've decided they want to end their relationship and have come to me and said, Fiona, we want to do it well. We want to move through this with kindness and respect and friendship wherever possible. Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, we are never locked into an experience. As human beings, we are never locked into an experience. A never equals B. So if if I feel offended by something, that does not have to equal me getting upset. It doesn't have to. And I think so many times, without realizing it, we innocently, something happens and we say to ourselves, well, of course I'm upset because they did X, so therefore I'm experiencing Y. And I understand why we do that. I used to do that, that's how I lived my life for many years. But I just love the fact that I know that is not true. That's not how things work. I'm never locked into an experience. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not allowed to get angry or upset or there's anything wrong with that. Of course, we all experience those emotions. But to know that I have the potential to have any kind of experience around anything has been, that's what emotional freedom is, guys. That's where emotional freedom lies. When you deeply know that for yourself, when you deeply see the truth of that. We are never locked into an experience. Now, the depth to which you see that is the depth to which you experience emotional freedom around anything in any type of situation or relationship in your life. Okay. And it is possible for anyone to see that. These are some of the things I talk about with my clients and my relatable students. In my program Relatable, we talk about this stuff. And so, when people see this deeply, we put down this enormous mental load. We don't feel so triggered and stuck. There's a lightness of being. And, when you experience a lightness of being, you don't want to go back from that. You just want more of it, right? And so as we look in the direction of lightness of being, the stuff that would draw us in, where we'd get caught up in wanting to prove a point, wanting to justify something, wanting to judge, wanting to criticize, just doesn't seem so attractive anymore. It's like, why would I want to live in the feeling of that when I get to live in the feeling of this? And as someone who was addicted to proving a point being right, I could argue the leg off a chair. I was quite addicted to it. It has been such a freeing thing that I still feel immense gratitude for each and every day. So I love the fact that you've asked the question. And the first thing I want to say is, yes, you can live together, enjoy each other's company, and while you work out the next steps. There is a way to navigate that well. But the first thing, right, and this is the thing we all get stuck with, guys, right? The very first thing, I think it's going to be the next book that I write. I'm in the middle of, like, down to the nitty gritty of the first book I've ever written, and I've enjoyed writing it so much more than I thought I would. I had all of this thinking that I now know is not true, that I'm not great at writing, that I'm not this and I'm not that, and I've proved that to be wrong for myself, and it's been such an enjoyable experience. So I think the next book that I'm going to write is going to be called The Art of Getting Over Yourself, because if you want to navigate anything well, right, like the breakdown of a relationship and stay friendly, and you have got to learn how to get over yourself, okay? And not just get over yourself once or twice. You have to learn how to get over yourself multiple times, right? And you have to be committed to that. Now, that doesn't mean that you are a doormat and you don't express yourself. That's not what I'm talking about. But getting over yourself means that when you don't agree with something and you can sense that you're being triggered and you can sense that you're about to go into frustrated thinking, judgmental thinking, it's your awareness of that. And I was actually just talking about this with my client earlier today. He was sort of saying, I have awareness around myself that I've never had before. And awareness is the first key to change. Without awareness, you got nothing, right? You're not aware of how you're showing up, what you're generating, what you're creating. If you don't have awareness of that, your capacity to create change is zilch, right? Because you're relying on something out here to change first. Remember, change always lies with you first, always. And when you get really good at getting over yourself, understanding what you're generating, you'd be amazed at what you can create with another human being. Even if you're going through a breakup that's painful and upsetting and definitely messy at times, our emotions get messy, but you can navigate them well. I'm telling you, in my mind, navigating our emotions well is the key to everything in life. Really. You can navigate your emotions well, you can handle anything. Think about it. You learn how to navigate your emotions well. And this is the thing that trips us up day in, day out, right? Day in, day out, this trips us up. People get caught up in their thinking. They don't know how to navigate their emotions well. And I'm going to be the first one to put my hand up. I spent decades not knowing how to navigate my emotions well, right? But knowing how to navigate your emotions well, you can navigate a breakup with ease. You can deal with that difficult situation at work. You can let go of something when your feelings get hurt by the behavior and actions of others, rather than dragging it around with you every day for years and years and years and years, which I see people do, right? Where you inadvertently then continually recreate your past in this present moment of now. You know, I had a couple come and see me yesterday, and of course, what they didn't realize they were doing, we were chatting, was they kept getting stuck around something that a series of events that had happened a long time ago. And I said to them, you realize that you're recreating the past in this moment of now, right? Can you see what you're doing? And they sat there for a second. I said, you know that you've both acknowledged that what you used to do, you no longer are doing anymore in this moment of now. You're no longer doing it. But you're talking about it as if it's true. And they were like, yeah. Because they were sort of saying, well, you know, we're no longer showing up the way we were, but the past is still prevalent. And I said, only because you're bringing it into the now. The past is like a bruise. I think that's such a great metaphor for the past. Okay, the past is like a bruise. If you've ever had a bruise in any part of your body, you know, especially, you know, if you've ever looked down and seen a bruise, I'm like, wow, how did that get there? I don't know, but you have a bruise on your thigh or on your arm or something, and you look at it, and maybe it's in all of these eclectic colors, greens and blues and yellows and purples, depending on the stage of the bruise. And you look at it and you go, wow, that's a serious bruise. But of course, a bruise does not hurt, does it? Unless you press it. Have you ever noticed that about a bruise? Generally, a bruise doesn't hurt unless you press on it. This is the way the past works. The past no longer exists. It no longer exists in this moment of now. It does not. But if you go back in the past and you press the bruise of the past in a moment of now, the past lights up like a Technicolor dream, right? Lights up in full Technicolor. And you're now in the emotions and the feelings and all of that. And then it looks real, and it looks like it's now this obstacle that you can't get across, that you can't get past. But you've got to understand the way the past works. You've got to understand the way thought works. And all of a sudden, it stops making sense to press a bruise. Once you press a bruise a couple of times and it hurts, you're kind of like, well, I don't really want to press that, because when I press it, it hurts. Why would I do that? Right? So this is what people do. They inadvertently press the bruise of the past, bring it into the now, and then make that into a problem. When you understand how these things work, it no longer makes sense to bring something into a moment of now, right? The moment of now is where you get to create something new and fresh. Now, the depth to which you see that, again, is another key to emotional freedom. I am not locked into the bruise of the past. I know that. I don't have to recreate that. I do not have to look into the past to navigate my now either. One has nothing to do with the other, or one does not have to. It's another one of those optional things, those illusions that we have, is that I've got to go back in the past to learn how to navigate the now. No, you learn how to navigate the now in one way and only one way, through fresh thinking, insights, and realizations, which is pretty much the same thing, just different ways of describing the same thing. Okay, it's the only way we navigate our moment of now well. Okay, you don't have to go back and recreate the past in order to navigate your now well. And so what I would say to someone, if you're navigating the breakdown of a relationship and you can see that you want to do it well, you want to stay friends, and you want to, number one, you've got to know how to get over yourself. You've got to know how to get over yourself. Number two, you've got to know when you're pressing the bruise of the past and bringing it into the now, right? Because all that does is recreate the anger, the upset, and the frustration. And remember, you're in the business now of creating a way of moving forward that where you are navigating a whole new life. So why on earth would you bring the past into the now? You understand how to do that. You can get through a breakup really, really well without it being this wound, this open wound that never heals, or this open wound that takes years and years and years to heal. Doesn't have to be like that. This is where you want to see the options that you have around things, the options that you have around anything. Okay. And the depth to which you see that again is we come back to this emotional freedom that I talk about. Hey, Deezer. Hello, darling. So grateful for emotional freedom. It's changed my life. Thank you. Oh, you're so welcome, honey. It's so welcome. Such a blessing to have you in our community, honey. Deezer's doing my Relatable program. Well, this is her, I don't know, second year, third year of being in our community, and she has generated and is so what's the word? Is being of such beautiful service to our community with the things that she's seen and shared. It's beautiful. Okay, so hopefully that answers that question. Next question. Actually, before I go on to the next question, is anyone interview third year? Yeah, I thought so. Amazing, Deezer. It's amazing, amazing. So does anyone have any questions around what I just shared then? Okay. And I would recommend you go back and listen to what I just said a few times. Right? Because there'll be parts of your analytical brain that are going to disagree with what I've said and have a few yeah buts around it. So if you do, I would go back and listen to it because there's a lot in what I just said. There's a lot on offer in what I just said. But yeah, if anyone has any questions or needs me to clarify anything, or if that made sense to you, it's like, yeah, I could see that or whatever, some feedback would be awesome because that just helps me get a sense of whether I'm hitting the spot for you guys. Because again, these Friday Lives are about being of service. I just want to be of service in whichever way I can. Okay. So anything you want to share back with me or reflect back to me around what I've just said, feel free to post it in the comments below, or if you have a question, do so. Or if you just want to say hi, please do so. Thanks, love to hear from people. Okay, so next question. Hi, Fiona. I've been married for 22 years. Congratulations. And my husband and I have faced some challenges in the last handful of years. Both being diagnosed with CPTSD, being frontline first responders. After completely supporting him through it when he went off work, when I went off work 2 years ago, I got no support, understandably, as he had no capacity to offer it. Okay, good for you for even being able to see that. Like, truly, that takes a certain level of grace and humility within yourself to even see that. All right, so good for you. And really, now he's said we're going through the motions and has basically said we're over. Not willing to take up counselling, etc., but he's willing to continue to live in the house with me and our 2 teenage daughters while not speaking to me. Barely responds when I keep trying to keep lines of communication open. The terrible messages the girls are getting is just the tip of the iceberg. How can I possibly ask him to move out? I just can't find the words to come out and say them. I'm shattered that he's taken this after everything we've been through as a couple. Oh, I'm so sorry, honey. I really am. I'm so, so, so sorry. That's the first thing that I want to say. It's incredibly painful when we give so much of ourselves to something or someone, okay? And then it looks like at the end of that there's not much to show for it. Okay, is what I'm kind of reading between the lines here. I might have that a little bit off base, but it's incredibly painful and soul destroying. So I'm really sorry. And I guess the first thing I want to say is that as human beings, our experience fluctuates so much. This is the very nature of experience. It just does way more than we can comprehend and understand. It truly does. One minute we can have complete clarity over something, and the next minute it's like there's no clarity whatsoever. 1 minute it can be like, I know I'm with my person and I love them dearly, and the next minute it can feel like, who are you? I don't even know if I like you so much. That's the extremes in which experience can shift, change, and move through us. And this is why we can get so frightened by our experience, because we can go from things being a certain way to them being like this, to them being like this, to, and it's like, whoa, okay? And all I want to say is this is a natural part of experience. It is. And we are not taught this enough. We are not taught this enough. We're kind of taught that experience looks a bit like this, and that anything outside of that is not normal. And so, of course, as soon as we see something that's not normal, we get frightened by it. We get worried by it. We wrestle with it. And, then it can grow from there. So obviously the two of you have been through a lot, okay, a lot emotionally and a lot with the work that you do. And as first responders, I want to thank you for your service and the work that you do. We need people like you, and that's not an easy job. It's not something that anybody could do. And so kudos to you and gratitude to you and your husband for being first responders, because I can only imagine what you have dealt with and seen over the terms of your service. So seriously, I from the bottom of my heart, thank you for that. The other thing that I just want to say is that sometimes there's no rhyme nor reason for why someone can go from one state of mind to another. Okay. And when there's no rhyme nor reason, it can seem shocking and bewildering, and we can feel like we're blindsided. And I have many people approach me who feel blindsided by something their partner's doing, or the way they're showing up, or their change of mind. And this is because we are so subject to insights and realization. And I think also it's because, as much as it's hard for us to get a head around this at times, we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and life is very much about the soul first and the human second. And so there are times where the journey of the soul takes over the life of the human, if that makes sense. And people do things that make no sense. Most sense to our human, but at a higher level would make a lot of sense. And so there are things that we just can't always get our head around. And I think this is where we've got to learn to, or develop a capacity to trust in something bigger than us and say, okay, even though this makes no sense to my human, even though this is scary, even though this is painful, I have to lean in and trust that there's a bigger picture here I can't see. This is why faith matters so much to people, the power of faith, and why it's been talked about through the ages and will be talked about through the eons and the rest of time, because faith enables us to hand something over, to take it off our shoulders, off our mind, to share it, right? And we do well emotionally when we are able to hand something over. So we're not grappling with it and wrestling with it on our own. It becomes too much for our human, okay? So there's an aspect of that in all of this. And the other thing that I just want to say, honey, is whatever we resist persists. Whatever we resist persists. So if you're trying and trying and trying, and he is not responding, let it go. Because as you push, it creates more resistance from him. Does that make sense? He can feel you trying, and it just has him want to speak less. So give him space. Stop trying, stop all the efforting, stop all the pushing. It just exhausts you and creates more resistance around him. We don't trust in the power of space enough. I've recorded an entire podcast episode around that. You can listen to it on Spotify. It's called Relatable. Just Google Relatable with Fiona Lucas. I've got a whole podcast episode on the power of space. We don't trust in space enough. Okay, so we get frightened by it. We try to fill it with stuff. Okay? You have to understand space is rich and generative, and space often gives somebody else an opportunity for fresh thinking, for insight, for realization, to gather a fresh meaning around something. So don't ever be frightened of space. Space can be a very good thing, but you have to make peace with it. Okay. Now, one of the ways in which you can trust in space, in the power of space, is by having faith in something bigger, right? Because the space that is left, right, is now being filled by something with more meaning, richer, deeper thinking, right? It creates opportunities for that. So this is also very important. So stop pushing, stop efforting, stop trying. Just stop all the pushing, right? Sometimes we've just got to let things be, all right? You'll find that you're going to feel less hurt and you'll feel less exhausted. This is very important because you've got to take care of you as you navigate this, right? You have to take care of you, especially if you've got children in the house, teenagers in the house that are seeing you push and nothing coming back. Does that make sense? So you've got to think about what's best for them too. So let it go. Now, how can you possibly ask him to move out? Well, if he's not showing up in a way that is good for you and good for your girls, like you've got to think of the bigger picture here, right? If he's not showing up in a way that's good for the greater good, you have to think about what's best for the greater good, especially as their mother. You got to think about what's best for the greater good. If he's not showing up in a way that's best for the greater good, if he doesn't have capacity for that, then you've got to look at what's best for the greater good rather than what's best for him, right? He has free will over how he's showing up. He has choice. He may not be able to see it, but that's for him to work out and see. So you've got to look at what's best for the greater good. And if what's best for the greater good, that he not be there, so that you're in a better feeling and you can relax and the house breathes a sigh of relief, then you know where you need to go from there. And always look at what's best for the greater good, okay? Very, very important. So I really hope that helps. And I thank you for the question because it's two great questions here that I think are really important for all of us today. Hi, Donna. Nice to see you here, honey. Hi. Welcome. Hi, Alison. Thanks, Fiona. Really enjoying and learning so much. Fantastic. Love to hear that. Thanks for your words. I appreciate it. Yes, it is, Deezer. It's true, even though it feels counterintuitive. But it is. Space is very important. Anthony, hey, yep, I freaked out when my wife asked for space. Now I know I should have given it. Yes. Yes. Because here's the other thing when someone asks for space, right, and you don't give it. If someone asks for space and you don't give it, what is the message that you're conveying? What's the message that you're conveying? Hey, Daryl, hello. Thank you. Anyone want to have a guess at that? What's the message that you're conveying? If someone asks for space and you don't give it. Yes. Nice one, Anthony. That their needs are not important and that your needs are actually more important than theirs. That's the message that you're giving that person. I don't really care about how you feel. How I feel is more important. Yes, yes, yes. And it can be controlling. Exactly, Leanne. My thoughts are more are valued more. Deborah, absolutely. You're making it about you, which is probably part of the reason why you got to the point where someone needs space in the first place, right? And so instead of seeing that, you're now making it about you, which only confirms to them that they're right in needing space. And you're also not listening, are you? Because in that moment where you don't give one space, who are you actually listening to? Deezer, this is when you get over yourself. Yes, absolutely. This is when knowing how to get over yourself is vitally important. Gold. That's right. Yeah. You know, most of us are very, very poor listeners. Very, very poor listeners. And we don't realize it. Because if someone asks me for space and then I don't give them, I'm listening to me. I'm not listening to them, am I? I'm listening to my fears, my worries, my panic. I'm listening to me. And that's all I can hear. I'm not hearing the other person at all. Again, probably one of the reasons why your relationship is where it's at, because that hasn't been going on. You know, with the couple that I had, I was seeing yesterday, I was taking them through how to listen to each other, and I was showing them the difference when someone feels heard, and I was doing some role play with them. And they were saying how they weren't feeling very connected. And as I was doing the role play, I said, do you feel connected right now? And they said, incredibly. And I said, can you see how quickly that can happen? In microseconds, through listening well, you create connection. It's that quick. But if you don't know how to get over yourself, if you're not present, if your mind is going at 1,000,000 miles an hour, if you're making it about you, if you're not listening, then you miss opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. And to people, eventually in the end, stop caring. They just stop caring. They take whatever skin they had in the game out because it's too painful to have skin in the game, right? Now, that's when you want to worry. When the energy goes out, when people stop caring, that's when you want to get worried. Because once that happens, it's a very slippery slope. This is why I say to people, being good at this stuff is an essential life skill. Like, you don't wait until your relationship's going downhill to learn about this stuff. Like, learn about it in the first instance. Be good at this stuff. I cannot tell you how it will change your life. In every aspect of your life, it will change your life. It will change your levels of well-being, how well you do at work, how much money you make, how healthy you are, how you feel about yourself, your level of self-worth, what you generate in the world. Like, I cannot emphasize. But people have this mindset of, well, I'm only going to learn about this stuff when I'm in a relationship that's failing. Like, it makes no sense to me, right? You, like, in my mind, this is as essential as breathing. Get good at this stuff. Make a commitment to it. I'm going to be really good at this stuff, right? And if you're in a relationship, you want to be good at this stuff so that the person, your person, right, their face lights up when you walk into the room. If your person's face is not lighting up when you walk in the room, then you've got some work to do. Like, I love the fact that my husband's face lights up when I walk into the room. It never used to be that way. I want him to be excited to see me. We're about to celebrate our 20th wedding anniversary, and I don't ever want that to change. I want his face to light up when we've been married for, you know, all going well in terms of our health and all those things for the next 20 years. If you're in a relationship where your person's face does not light up, will they struggle to talk to you? Were you just going through the motions? Like, why would you settle for that? Why would you not do all that you can to learn everything there is to learn to see if you can change that? Like, that's what doesn't make sense to me. Because, you know, if you think about it in life, everything you do is because you want to experience the feeling of that thing. That's why you do it, right? So, for example, let's just talk about money because, you know, money is something that everybody generally wants more of or to have an experience of. But You want to have more money because of the feeling that money gives you, right? You want to have you want to have emotional freedom because of the feeling that emotional freedom gives you. You want to feel connected to someone because of the feeling that that gives you, right? The feeling that we are in drives everything in our lives, everything. It's the driver of all things, okay? Now, when you're really good at relationships, the feeling that you get to live your life in is inexplicable, because it filters out into every area of your life. You're always in relationship with something every second of every day. And so when you're good at that stuff, you get to live in an incredible feeling. Now, I'm sorry, but if someone said to me that I could live in an incredible feeling no matter what, right? I would want to learn everything there is to know about that. And I'm not talking about positivity, and I'm not necessarily talking about happiness either. I'm talking about a feeling of connection, peace, calm, joy, curiosity, a sense of comfort in my own skin. Like, why would you not want that? And why would you not want to move heaven and earth to have that in your life? Like, this is the stuff that doesn't make sense to me. Yet people will put up with so much less than that. I'm like, if you knew what was on offer in terms of how good you could feel, would you not move heaven and earth to experience that? Would you not? Yet we don't learn about this stuff. We wait until our back's against the wall, until everything's painful and difficult. And then we kind of go, oh, I might want to, do you know what I mean? It's like, come on, guys. This stuff matters. It matters so much. It matters in your life. It matters in your family. It matters in your communities. It matters. It's the thing that binds us all. And I would love every person. Like, that is one of my missions in life, is for you all to see that learning about this stuff matters. It's a life skill that you cannot afford not to have. Okay, just checking some of these comments. Awesome, thank you. Hey, Graham. Hi, Graham. Someone on YouTube saying hi. Always good to hear people from YouTube. Deezer, all it takes is one person to change a relationship. It just takes time. Yes, it does. And that is absolutely 100% Deezer's story. Hi, Brian. Hey. Nice to see you, Brian. Okay, everybody. I know I've been speaking for almost 38 minutes. It's a long time for you guys to be listening to me on a Friday. So I just want to say thank you so much for listening. I hope that this has been helpful. I know I can get a bit impassioned about this at times, but it's just because it matters so much, and I want it to matter to you, because I'm all about the ripple effects in the world, right? You are the ripple effects, and what you do in your lives and your communities and your families ripples out to places you can't possibly imagine. You can't possibly imagine. This stuff matters. I love you too, Deezer, so much, honey. I do, so much. I regularly tell my relatable students I love them. Talk soon, Fair. Yes, Brian, I'd love to hear from you. Now, okay, guys, I'm not here next week. I'm traveling with my husband because that's our 20th wedding anniversary. So I'm not here next week, but I will be here the week after. If any of you want to know about Relatable, if you want to know how to learn this, you want to be part of our community, you're part of this conversation, I run 2 calls, amazing magical calls a week with my community. Relatable is amazing. If you want to be a part of our Relatable family, you want to know more about it, I encourage you guys, book a chat with me, find out more about it. I promise I don't bite. I promise I'm not going to do some pushy sales pitch with you. Promise you. But if you want to know about it, you can book a chat with me through the link below. Our Relatable community has students all over the world: the US, Canada, the UK, Australia, New Zealand, Asia, Norway, Spain, Latvia. There's people in Latvia who've done Relatable. If you want to know more about it, click on the link. It is very, very, very special community of people who are generating this and loving it. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Leanne, darling. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I will see you all in a couple of weeks. If I have internet access, I'll post some pics on my Facebook page of I'm going to Uluru to Ayers Rock. I cannot wait. Thank you, William. You're so welcome. You're so welcome. See you guys in a couple of weeks. Send your questions in. If you've got a question you want me to answer it, hello@fionalukis.com.au. All right. And just put subject line Friday live Q&A, and my assistant will make sure it's ready for the next live that I do. Take care, everyone. See you soon. Ciao.